Some stories break you, some heal you, but here at My 90s Love Story, we're here to fill your heart. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. My relationship with Gabriel Thorne was over. The breakup came from him. I asked him why, and he said there was no reason. Fine then. If that's how it is, we'll just break up. I changed every way anyone could reach me, left the city, and moved back home. 2 years passed. As I was about to turn 26, my family set me up on a blind date, something they'd been arranging for a while. By then, I'd gotten used to just drifting along with the current, so I didn't push back against dates like these. This time the man was the son of my mother's friend, Dominic Calloway. Supposedly he and I had met before, but I had absolutely no memory of him. As far as I was concerned, today was the first time we were meeting. Hello, here's my card. Handing someone your card before you sit down is a habit every lawyer has. He reached out and took it. His fingers were long and slender, his nails trimmed short and clean. I let my eyes run over him once. Black jacket, dark trousers, combat boots, a look with a little grit to it, though maybe it was just that his face was striking enough to make him read as handsome rather than rough. Attorney Marlowe, it's a pleasure. His eyes skimmed my card. He smiled. Sorry, I don't have one to give you. I waved a hand to show it didn't matter. We got to talking about our jobs, and to my surprise, he turned out to be in the same line of work as Gabriel Thorne, my ex. When it came up, my hand paused over my food for just a second. He caught the change in me right away. Does it bother you that I'm a firefighter? No, it's great, really, I said, forcing it out. When dinner was over, he moved to pay, but I wanted to split it. He frowned, hesitated, and in the end said nothing. Just pulled up a payment code and let me cover my half. I scanned it, and we left. Outside the restaurant, I waved and pointed left. I'm heading this way. Ah, I'm going this way. He scratched his head, smiling, and jerked his thumb the opposite direction. Well, goodbye. Goodbye. A month later, I ran into Dominic Calloway again, at his mother's 50th birthday dinner. He sat beside his parents, both hands clamped on his knees, looking every bit the obedient son, the complete opposite of the scruffy, faintly roguish man from our first meeting. After my mother and I greeted the elders, I noticed his mother kept watching me with a gentle, approving smile. Curious, I glanced over at him and caught the flicker of a sigh in his eyes that made me want to laugh. So, he'd clearly been dragged here against his will. When the party wound down, the aunties and uncles settled in to play cards, and my mother packed me and the younger crowd off to sing at the karaoke room the restaurant had. Dominic counted as one of the younger crowd. Just as we got to the room, I got an urgent work call and stepped out to take it, telling everyone to go ahead and have fun. When I finished the call and walked back in, I was nearly knocked flat by the chaos those kids were making. Seeing me, Dominic stood and came over. Want to go take a walk? He asked. One look at the mess in that room, and I nodded. Sure, let the kids have it. We didn't actually go outside, just wandered the restaurant's hallways. Neither of us said much. He kept glancing around, brow furrowed. Are you counting the fire extinguishers? Yeah, there are only 2 on this floor. Regulations say there should be at least 4. As he spoke, he walked up to a fire hose on the wall. And this hose is just for show. There's no water in it. I looked at him, curious. So, are you going to find them? This isn't my jurisdiction, but I have a duty to remind them to fix it. And then he actually went and found the restaurant manager. As baffled as I felt, the manager was very cooperative and promised to fix it right away. I waited for him to come back. Sorry, he said. Do I seem strange to you? Not at all. It's your professional instinct. I get it. So what's the professional instinct of you lawyers? I pulled a voice recorder pen out of my bag. Well, everything we've said today has been recorded. Believe me? It took him a long moment to realize I was joking. His smile came out a little stiff, but not bad. It showed 8 very even teeth, and very white ones, at that. That night, we added each other online. I'd share little articles explaining points of law on my feed. He'd post fire safety tips. He'd like my posts, and I'd like his back. Sometimes after liking a post, he'd message me a few lines about the weather, food, or just some small feeling about his day. The day before my 26th birthday, an uninvited guest showed up at my law office, Gabriel Thorne, the ex who'd broken up with me 2 years earlier. The moment I saw him, I pretended I hadn't and started off in another direction. Elsie. He crossed to me in a few quick strides. I've been looking for you for a long time. I took a step back and glanced around. Let's talk over at that coffee shop. I pointed to a cafe nearby and set off ahead of him. We sat at a table near the window. How have you been? He asked. I nodded. Fine. You moved back home, he said, smiling. We'd been together 3 years, and the whole time I'd asked him again and again to come visit my hometown, and every time he'd put it off, saying he'd come next holiday. Now here he finally was, except it was after we'd broken up. Unused to how cold I'd become, he fidgeted, twisting his fingers. I looked for you for so long, but you changed your number. Did you need something? I just wanted to ask how you've been. You already asked that. Right? Yeah? If there's nothing else, then I'll go. I stood. He scrambled up after me, his face a little anxious. Elsie. He reached out as if to touch me, then didn't dare. Holding himself back as hard as he could, I looked him straight in the eye. Gabriel, we broke up, and it was you who asked for it. His sudden reappearance stirred something in me despite myself. After all, there'd been a time I thought I'd marry him, that we'd go diving to see coral together, watch the sunset over open fields, ski down snowy mountains, camp by a lake. I never imagined that just 2 months after he proposed, he'd be the one to end it, without a single reason, in one short sentence of 5 words. In 5 simple words, I went from fiancé to ex. 5 words that drew a hasty period at the end of the future he and I were supposed to have. By the time I got home, I was drained. I collapsed onto the sofa, trying to claw my way out of the swamp of memory. Dusk settled and darkness swallowed the room, but I didn't want to turn on a single light. I couldn't understand how someone as rigid as me could once have been so shaken by Gabriel Thorne. I sank into memory. No light in the house, no light outside, no light in my heart either. Then my phone screen lit up in the dark, almost too bright. Happy birthday. It was a message from Dominic Calloway, sent right at midnight. Thank you, I wrote. For what? He sent back. Didn't you just... never mind. He sent a screenshot. I wrote it down. April 26th is your birthday. Are you free tomorrow? I thought about it, then sent it. Maybe. I might be. I can take the day off. If you're free, let's go see a movie. Okay. I stood and turned on the light. All at once, a fresh start didn't seem so bad. We agreed to meet at 4 in the afternoon. He was wearing the same jacket as the first time we met. That jacket really was a point in his favor. It made him look taller and sharper. But you can't wear the same thing over and over. You must really like that jacket, I said. He looked down at himself. Actually, it's not mine. I borrowed it from Trevor Hollis, one of the younger guys on my team. All I own is my turnout gear, my workout clothes, and my everyday uniform. That sounds like a lot of clothes and somehow still pathetic. My guy's the pathetic one. He has to buy clothes that'll also fit his old team leader here. It's fine, he said, unbothered. I glanced at my watch. The movie wasn't for a while. Come on. Where are we going? I'm taking you shopping. He blinked, then laughed. You're taking me shopping? I walked a step ahead, then turned back. Problem? He shrugged and followed. No problem at all. We went to the men's section, and one picked out a few stylish fleece jackets for him to try. Try them on. All of them? That's right. He carried the whole armful into the fitting room. I'll say this, the firefighter had a great build. Every outfit he put on made him look like a model. More like a model than that soulless plastic mannequin anyway. I stepped up behind him and reached to tug the waistband of the jeans up. Is the waist the right? The unthinking intimacy of it made us both freeze at exactly the same moment, delicately. I drew my hand back and privately thanked my luck. If the genders were reversed, this would absolutely be called harassment. It's fine, he said calmly. A pity his ears weren't as calm as their owner. Right. Go change back. There are a few more here. While he was changing, the sales assistant handed me the shopping bag. Let's go, the movie's about to start, I said, tucking the receipt into my wallet. I think I figured out your professional instinct, he said, staring at the way I saved the receipt. What, that I collect random receipts? It's not just a receipt. I held up the little stack in my hand. When I need one, it's my alibi too. He raised his eyebrows like he understood completely. It was almost time, so we went back to the theater and traded our vouchers for tickets. It was a comedy, but my sense of humor sits so high I couldn't find anything funny. Watching the images sway in front of me, drowsiness crept in. It wasn't until he gently shook me awake after the credits that I realized I'd fallen asleep, still leaning on his shoulder. I wiped at the corner of my mouth for drool that wasn't there. Sorry I dozed off. It's fine. Have you been that tired lately? A little. I'm handling a divorce that's been hard to untangle. A divorce? I frowned and vented to him. My client's the wife. The husband's been having an affair and the mistress is pregnant. He's the one suing for divorce and my client keeps insisting on digging up proof of his cheating so she can strip him bare and throw him out of the house. I told her it's pointless, but she won't listen. Why is it pointless? Isn't the affair the husband's fault? Because infidelity isn't treated as a major fault in a marriage. The most he'll pay is a few thousand in emotional damages. People getting sentenced or thrown out on the street for an affair, that only happens in TV dramas. So what should she do? My advice to her is to hold steady. He looked puzzled. The mistress is pregnant. In half a year, when the second hearing comes around, that woman will be about to give birth. If this man really loves his mistress, will he be willing to let her have a child with no name and no status? He absolutely won't. So as long as the wife isn't in a hurry, they'll be the ones who panic. That doesn't sound so hard then. The hard part is that my client won't take the advice. More than money, she wants that man humiliated in front of everyone, wants him and the mistress to lose every shred of dignity. I sighed. Honestly, the marriage is already over. Wouldn't it be better to just squeeze more money out of it? If she'd listened to me, I could guarantee she'd walk away with at least 70% of the family's assets. He said nothing, just looked at me with a faint smile. Am I too calculating? I asked. Not at all, you're very level-headed. As a lawyer, I'd say you're just being professional. Then why didn't you say anything a moment ago? I poked his arm. I thought you were secretly cursing me out. I was thinking that you looked tired. I should take you home. But I also want to take you to dinner. He smiled and reached out to give my cheek a light pinch. What am I supposed to do, Attorney Marlowe? This is quite the dilemma. I was a little caught off guard by the sudden move. Still, I'd asked him out in the first place with the intention of taking things further, so turning him down now would have been odd. Let's go eat. I'm hungry. Yes, ma'am. We went to a place that did creative cuisine. He told me that the first time we met, he'd felt like I really disliked him. Not at all. It was just my first blind date and I wasn't comfortable. He nodded. Same for me. I was so nervous I forgot to even take you home. Did you really forget? Or were we both just unimpressed with each other? I didn't have time to think about it further. As we talked, a server brought out a main dish, covered with a lid, set in the middle of the table, a little cup of clear liquor poured on top. The server lit the liquor with a lighter while reciting some words of good fortune. I looked up to see his reaction and found him frowning at the flame, both hands gripping the arms of his chair as if forcing himself to hold still. In the end, he couldn't. He grabbed the damp towel we'd used to wipe our hands, still on the table, and pressed it down over the already small flame. It puffed out with a little whoomph. He turned to the bewildered server. "Your dish is very creative, but in a crowded place, especially with flammable things all around, an open flame isn't appropriate. I'd suggest that when you serve this, you keep a fire extinguisher beside you, a dry powder one." Mid-lecture, he suddenly remembered I was sitting right there and snapped back to himself. "Sorry." "It's fine, I understand. My firm once took a case where a restaurant's tabletop burner set the tablecloth on fire and badly burned a customer. It really is a safety hazard." "Exactly. You have to be careful with fire in daily life. There are plenty of ways to make something feel special without this." Right. Well said, Mr. Calloway." I laughed and lifted my cup of barley tea. "Have some tea to calm down, Mr. Calloway." I'd successfully teased Dominic into laughing. The restaurant wasn't far from my place, so after dinner, he walked me home. Crossing the street, I got a call and answered it while we walked. He took my other hand. When I hung up, I looked down at our joined hands. "Someone's feeling bold tonight, Mr. Calloway." He gave the back of my hand a pat. "You need to pay attention when you cross the street." "Yes, sir." At the foot of my building, I hesitated, not sure whether to invite him up. "I have to get back to the station," he said, checking his watch. "That's fine. It's not like there's a cat up there that knows how to flip over backward anyway." He looked at me, lost. "It's this trick I saw online for inviting someone of the opposite sex up to your place. You made the first move, so I'm just playing along." He listened and smiled. "Then next time I'll flip over backward like a cat for you to see." I actually burst out laughing. "I'm off," he said, waving. He'd taken a couple of steps when he hurried back to me and handed me a small box with a gold logo on it. "Almost forgot. Happy birthday." "Thank you." Back in school, I'd loved a cartoon, and I'd always dreamed of owning the Saturn pendant necklace one of its characters wore. I opened the box, and sure enough, a necklace with a little Saturn charm strung with pearls. I suspected my mother had leaked the secret. I put it on, took a photo, and sent it to him. "How does it look?" "Beautiful." "Did my mother tell you?" "No, I picked it out myself." "Whoa, what's happening?" "Mr. Calloway, I didn't think you'd be so good at this." "Really? Isn't that a good thing?" "A good thing how?" "Guess it's not then. And here I thought you were praising me." His blunt honesty made me laugh in the strangest way. "I ordered you a little cake," he said. "When the delivery comes, remember to open the door." "Amazing. Don't skip the candles. Without candles, there's no sense of occasion. Do you have a fire extinguisher in your place?" "No, but there's one in the hallway." "I've had 2 extinguishers ordered for you. When you light the candles, keep one beside you. Do you even know how to use a fire extinguisher?" "No." Actually, I did. Gabriel Thorne had taught me once. He sent me a short video. This is a safety explainer I filmed last year. Watch it and learn ahead of time. Next time I'll teach you in person. Birthday candles with a fire extinguisher standing by. Good grief. The doorbell rang. I opened it, and a delivery guy handed me the cake. "Enjoy." Through the clear box, I could see it was mango, my favorite. Mr. Calloway really was all-knowing. I photographed it and sent it to him. "Thanks for the cake, Mr. Calloway." "Don't mention it, but I think they got the order wrong." "Me?" "I ordered strawberry, but your cake looks like it's mango." "Oh, this. Can I even eat mango? You're not allergic, are you?" "That's fine. I actually like mango, too." Then it settled. Just as I was about to cut the mango cake, the doorbell rang again. The delivery guy had brought a second cake, strawberry. I looked at the 2 cakes on my table, a little dazed. My phone buzzed with a message. Happy birthday, Elsie. One look at the number and I knew it was Gabriel Thorne. I blocked him, picked up the mango cake, and headed downstairs to throw it in the trash. The second I stepped out the door, I saw Gabriel Thorne standing under the streetlight. His eyes lit up when he saw me, and he strode toward me. Elsie? Without a word, I shoved the cake into his arms. Gabriel, I'll say it one more time. We broke up. Stop doing all this pointless stuff. I'm sorry. He held the cake awkwardly, as if I were the one who'd wronged him. Don't let this happen again. I turned to leave. Just as I pushed open the glass door, Dominic Calloway was calling. I was about to answer when Gabriel grabbed my wrist and yanked me back. Elsie! At first I thought he'd suddenly lost his mind, but then the glass door shattered. The instant I was pulled away, shards flew everywhere. He shielded me against his chest. The glass left 2 faint red lines across the back of his hand. Crushed against him, my heart pounding, my body shaking with fear, I heard my phone still ringing. I came to, straightened up quickly, pushed him away, and answered. Hello? My voice was trembling. What's wrong? Dominic caught the strain in it and asked, worried. The glass door downstairs just shattered. I got a little scared. Are you okay? I'm fine, just startled. I'm coming back to you right now. It's fine, it's just a glass door. Nothing else happened. Don't worry like that. Wait for me, I'm getting a car. I'll be there fast. Dominic hung up before I could refuse. Gabriel was still standing there, the wound on the back of his hand beating with tiny drops of blood. I sighed, took out a tissue, and handed it to him. Go bandage that, and thank you for just now. He said nothing, just stood there, head bowed. It was so like every time we used to argue. He'd let me stew without a word, and only after I'd cursed myself hoarse would he pull me into a hug and say, I'm sorry, love. You're right to be mad. I shook my head to scatter the images from the past. My boyfriend's on his way to me. Go home before he gets the wrong idea. At last, he lifted his head and looked at me, the corner of his mouth trembling into a forced smile. Elsie, you're lying to me, aren't you? I took a step back, widening the distance between us, looked straight into his stunned eyes, and said each word slowly. Gabriel Thorne, you should understand that a breakup means that from now on, whether we live or die, whether either of us marries, it has nothing to do with the other. I sat on the bench downstairs and waited for Dominic. He came fast, only a few minutes after Gabriel left. He stood in front of me, eyes full of worry. Are you all right? I looked up at him. You took time off again? Actually, I took 24 hours. Oh, so you're saying you just lied to me? He froze for a second, then crouched down to my eye level. I smiled. So how does Attorney Marlowe intend to punish you? I pretended to think. I sentence you to carry me home on your back. Deal? He raised an eyebrow, a little challenge in his good looks. What? You won't comply? I copied his eyebrow. How would I dare? He turned and crouched in front of me. Up you go. I pressed my face into his broad shoulder. He smelled faintly of soap and it put me at ease. He hitched me up twice and headed for the stairs. You're not taking the elevator? Isn't this your punishment for me? I buried my face in his shoulder and giggled. My mother said we'd met before. That's right. You remember? I don't remember at all. You went to the same high school for both middle and high school, didn't you? His voice was very calm, carrying me up the stairs without getting winded. That's right. I was in the science track. I was in the science track too. Oh, so we were schoolmates. At first I planned to apply to the same university as you, but it didn't work out, and I ended up at the engineering school. Say that, and I'll think you've been secretly crushing on me for ages. I poked his back. He laughed, but didn't get to answer. We'd reached my door. Inside, he saw the cake on the table. How did it become a strawberry cake? I walked over and untied the ribbon on it, thought for a moment, and decided to tell the truth. Dominic, given where things are between us, I don't want to ruin the mood. But for something that's going to last, I don't want to lie to you either. Why so serious all of a sudden? He reached out and brushed a few strands of hair from my lips. The mango cake earlier, my ex sent it. I thought you'd ordered it, so I got them mixed up. His smile stalled. The air went silent for a second. I broke up with him 2 years ago. I'm certain I don't have a shred of feeling left for him. When I gave the cake back, I made that clear to him. I finished and looked anxiously at his reaction. I thought he'd leave, or press me with questions. Instead, he just pulled me into a hug, ruffled my hair, and said gently, "It's not even midnight yet. Make a wish." That night, he slept in my living room. The next morning, the moment I came out of the bedroom, I found him in an apron, busy in the kitchen. "It smells so good. What are you making?" "Go brush your teeth and wash up first, kiddo. I'm making dumplings." "You're up this early? Are the markets even open?" I said, heading for the bathroom. On the sink were the toothbrush and razor we'd bought him at the convenience store the night before. I stared at them for a few seconds before picking up my own toothbrush. "The market opens at 4. They do wholesale in the mornings. You could say I was the first customer." Up so early. No wonder. The night before, he'd even asked for my door code. When I'd finished getting ready and came out, the dumplings were done. "Need help with anything?" "Here, I've scooped the dumplings into bowls. Come carry this one." "Sure." Since becoming a lawyer, I'd basically stopped cooking. All at once I felt something. "You make my place feel so much warmer." He smiled. "Isn't that a good thing?" "It's a little, very good." I sat up on the counter stool, feet swinging, and ate my dumplings slowly. He put the leftover dumplings in the freezer. "When you're hungry later, you can cook them yourself. However many you want. Boil the water, add cold water 3 times, and they're done." "I know how. I'm not a 3-year-old. "You're a 3.5-year-old. He turned and tenderly tapped my nose. In the span of a single day, he and I had fast-forwarded. Firefighting is a demanding job, and being a lawyer is no different. He usually had 8 days of leave a month, but he couldn't always take them. And I was sometimes busier than he was, busy writing briefs, building cases, running hearings, handling problems for the companies I advised, chasing new work. Whenever he had leave, even if I was away on business, he'd come to my place, restock the fridge, label everything with expiration dates, and tell me over and over to throw things out once they expired. He gladly did my laundry, cooked, cleaned, tidied up my life. Sometimes I even had the illusion that I hadn't found a boyfriend so much as an hourly housekeeper. Every day he reported his daily life to me. Training, going on patrol, back from patrol. Our schedules rarely lined up, so we could only grab moments to talk. Sometimes it took me a long time to see and answer his messages. He said the 2 of us were the opposite of other couples. With other firefighters, the girlfriend was the one replying instantly, complaining her boyfriend never had time for her. "Aren't you out there earning a living for us?" he said. I was eating fresh-cut fruit he'd ordered while I replied. Then a bank card in a relative's name popped up in our chat. "What's this?" "Use my card." I opened it. The limit was $10,000. As far as I knew, even though he was an officer, his salary was only a little over $10,000 a month. He was trying his hardest to be good to me. But honestly, this kindness sometimes made me feel pressure, especially since I couldn't give anything back. Back when I was with Gabriel Thorne, I could openly show my love, pull all the little girlfriend antics. But facing Dominic Calloway, I couldn't tell whether I loved him or simply needed him. His arrival had begun to light up my small, crowded platform, and my heart was starting to stir. It took me a long time to write back. "I didn't realize you were so well off, Mr. Calloway. Don't think you can win me over that easily." "All right, on Thursday, I'm going to a neighboring city for a hearing. On the way back, I can take 2 days off. I'll come visit you at the station then. Really? He sent me an animated clip, a kitten dancing in place, an image he'd swiped from me. I sent one back, a kitten patting its own head. Okay, I'll stop here. I'm busy. Got it. Thursday, I got back early, so I bought several portions of crawfish and brought them to his team. He came out to meet me. The second I saw him, I hurried over. Quick, I can't hold these anymore. He laughed and took the crawfish. They're this heavy, and you carried them here yourself? If I'd known, I'd have just ordered takeout. I held out my arms to show him the red marks the bags had pressed into them. He frowned, turning my hands over again and again. Don't bring stuff next time. We're not short of anything here. I know. I arrived right at dinner time. He divided the crawfish among his teammates. A buzz-cut guy named Trevor Hollis raised his eyebrows at me and Dominic with obvious delight, the meaning plain in his eyes. The other guys chorused, "Thank you, sister-in-law." A little embarrassed, I half hid behind him. He took my hand and hid it behind his back, giving it 2 soft squeezes. One squad had come back late from a mission, and the moment they walked into the mess hall and saw crawfish, everyone unleashed their finest tiger pounce technique. Their squad leader behind them laughed and scolded, "Have a little manners." That voice was so familiar. My heart lurched. I looked up, and sure enough, it was Gabriel Thorne. His smile stiffened too when he saw me. "Squad leader, come on over. Sister-in-law Elisa's crawfish is delicious." He nodded at me and Dominic, walked past, and sat down at his own squad's table. I turned to Dominic. "Take me for a walk?" "Sure." He didn't ask why, didn't worry about his unfinished meal, just set down his chopsticks, took my hand, and led me out of the mess hall. He walked me around their training yard and showed me the fire trucks, explaining everything in detail along the way, like I was someone who needed to be educated. "Next time, on the public open day, you should come. I'll take you up the aerial ladder." Okay. I'd been up a fire ladder once before. That time, Gabriel Thorne had been standing on the ladder, pulling me out of a sea of flames. "There's a rest area upstairs for family members. Do you want to go up and sit a while?" "No need. I should head back anyway. Tonight I still have 2 demand letters to write." "Didn't you say you'd get 2 days off?" "I said I was busy, and then today I can take 2 days." "Good." Dominic pulled me into his arms. "I'm off tomorrow too for 2 days." "Perfect." I rested my head on his shoulder and relaxed for a moment. "Let me tell you a secret," he said. "What secret?" "That blind date, I knew it was you. That's why I went." "Oh, so you've been secretly pining for me for a long, long time." I laughed and poked at the fire rescue crest on his chest. He only held me tighter, like he was dreaming. I buried my face in the darkness at his neck, my lips against the beat of his pulse. Learning that someone might have quietly loved you for so long, I felt an ache and a fear. An ache for all the time he'd wasted. A fear that one day he'd suddenly realize I wasn't really worth anything after all. And even more, a fear that one day he'd break up with me the way Gabriel Thorne had, without even a reason. He bent to look at me, and I dodged his eyes like a lowly thief, not wanting him to see the panic in me right then. On the way home, I kept turning it over. Where, in the end, were Dominic Calloway and I headed? I no longer loved Gabriel Thorne, that much was certain. But whether I loved Dominic Calloway, I couldn't say. I sighed and blamed all my confusion and worry on how recklessly fast we'd started. I stood on the balcony off the living room, my gaze falling from the stars scattered across the night sky down to the bench under the streetlight. Cicadas droned all around, and the air carried summer's particular scent. Leaning on the railing, I turned my phone screen on and off dozens of times. After thinking it through, I finally took Gabriel Thorne's number off my block list. 2 years. And this was the first time I'd called that number on my own. "Elsie, is now a good time to talk?" "Yeah, I'm alone. Gabriel." I bit my lip without meaning to. The words were hard to get out. I heard him laugh softly. Elsie, you're just a girl I pulled out of a fire a few years ago, nothing more. Before I could speak, he already knew what I wanted to say. I didn't want Dominic Calloway to know I'd once been with Gabriel Thorne. They'd become comrades who could trust each other with their lives. I couldn't be the thing that came between them. Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye. The next day, Dominic came very early. I heard him rustling around in the living room and threw on a light jacket to go out. What are you doing? Writing a legal document. I'd worked until 3 in the morning the night before without a wink of sleep, so my tone wasn't great. Did I wake you? Ugh, forget it, I'm up. I yawned and grumbled. I didn't sleep well at all. Then go sleep some more, I'll stop. Being told to sleep now, I couldn't sleep anyway. What else are you doing? Didn't you say your back hurts? He'd bought me a massage chair and a robot vacuum I could control from my phone. He pointed at 2 enormous boxes on the floor. Both were the latest models from well-known brands, and lately those didn't come cheap. Everyone knows firefighters here mostly aren't well off. A saying suddenly came to me. If a man has only $10 but is willing to give you all 10, that's true love. And somehow he'd given me 11. Dominic Calloway and I both liked calling each other by our full names. We never used any cute little nicknames. What are you doing? He came over and lifted me up. The floor's cold in the morning. Don't walk around barefoot. He set me on the sofa. Where are your socks? First drawer of the nightstand in the bedroom. A moment later, he came back with a pair. He crouched in front of me and set my foot on his thigh. You're freezing. Amazing. He'd brought a pair of thick cotton socks. I looked at the side of his face. The hard shell I'd built over 2 years of work seemed to have been quietly pried open by this man. The roses in my heart, held back so long, couldn't be contained anymore. They pushed their heads out through the crack, caught the sunlight and rain, and bloomed into a whole sea of flowers. I reached out and took his face in my hands. What is it? He asked. I don't know what I looked like just then, but his expression, half wanting to laugh, half fighting it, was so charming. I lowered my head and pressed my lips to his. It was only a light kiss, but he turned guest into host. So fierce, I half thought he wanted to melt me into his own body. It's so hot, I mumbled. Where's hot? There was a hidden laugh in his voice. My feet. I reached down and yanked the socks off. I'm sweating. His laughter rolled on, his chest shaking against me, and where our skin touched, I felt a wave of tingling numbness. He lifted me up again and carried me toward the bedroom, the standard rescue carry, also known as the princess carry. To change out of the thin socks, he said. That afternoon, we went to the supermarket together. Online shopping had gotten so convenient over the past couple of years that I'd stopped liking supermarkets much. But even though he pushed the cart, walking side by side with him gave me a strange kind of joy. I picked out a mountain of snacks, nearly half the cart. This might be too much, I said. Kids have to have snacks, he said. Otherwise, childhood isn't complete. I turned around, walking backward and pushing the cart ahead of him. This feels like it's happened before. Back then you said that same line, didn't you? He idly picked something off a shelf, and I figured he wasn't paying attention. But a few minutes later, he suddenly said, Maybe it's because I've dreamed it 1,000 times. I smiled and looked at him, just in time to catch the red creeping up the rim of his ear. Leaving the supermarket, he carried the bags in one hand, while I held an ice cream in one of mine, and our other 2 hands laced together naturally. He said our jobs were both so busy that he loved this ordinary, simple feeling. I completely agreed. Oh, right, your college entrance scores were high enough to get into the engineering school. Why did you become a firefighter? I didn't overthink it at the time. I just figured a man in this world should do the things a man ought to do. He laughed out loud, at once roguish and upright. So why did you become a lawyer? I used to watch a legal drama on TV. I thought lawyers were so cool. He clearly hadn't expected that answer and looked a little stunned. That sounds a bit young of you. Mm, I think a TV drama that spreads the right values, that shapes a kid's outlook on life and the world, that has huge value too. Thank you so much for that. On the way home, he picked up another delivery. I had no idea when he'd bought a projector. We aimed it at the ceiling, each set a few bags of snacks beside us, and lay back to watch a movie. The air conditioner breathed out a cool stream. This life is so decadent, I complained. You burn a lot of energy normally. Relaxing now and then is fine, he said. That's you. I can't run 5 kilometers every day. Speaking of 5 kilometers, I suddenly remembered a fitness account I used to follow had held an event. Run 5.2 kilometers and you could earn a really pretty medal. Sadly, I'd tried many times and always failed. Run it for me? Really? Of course. There's a panda one and a koala one. I want both. I'll run both for you. I kissed him on the cheek. You're the best. He sat up. Give me your phone. I'll go run it for you right now. And he actually took my phone and went downstairs to run. I stood on the balcony watching him jog through the complex, laughing my heart out. When he came back, gripping my phone so hard the veins stood out, he sat on the sofa in silence. I'd already gotten the news about Trevor Hollis's death. I said nothing, just came to him, face to face, and held him. It was a long time before he spoke. Elise. Trevor, he's gone. The sob broke from his throat, trembling. I'd seen the news on my phone. A large fire had broken out on the ground floor of a residential complex in the city. At first, Trevor Hollis and the others had completed the rescue and gotten out safely. But then an old woman ran up saying her granddaughter was still studying inside and begged them to go back in. Looking at the complex swallowed in flames, Trevor wiped water over his flushed face, his orange rescue suit reeking of smoke, his face full of exhaustion, his eyes bloodshot, and once more charged into the building, against the flow of people fleeing. In the flickering red of that dark night, Trevor Hollis carried a sacred duty on his ordinary mortal shoulders. But when he reached the room the old woman had described, there was no so-called granddaughter anywhere. The woman was downstairs, calling up in an old but forceful voice, telling him to bring out the jade bracelet and bank card from the cabinet. Trevor knew he'd been tricked again. The squad leader below told him to get down fast, but he didn't care. He found the old woman's things and immediately rushed out to the balcony. 2 blasts, the gas tanks exploded, and the building collapsed. When they dug Trevor Hollis out of the rubble, he was gravely injured, drenched in blood, but his hand still gripped that jade bracelet and bank card. This is what a firefighter is. As he was rushed to the hospital, he grabbed the squad leader's hand and said, brokenly, "Squad leader, Grandma's retirement money, I saved it." Before he could finish, he fell unconscious. The news came that Trevor Hollis hadn't made it. After that, Dominic Calloway treated me even better. So well it worried me, as if he might vanish at any moment. Because my desk kept filling with more and more firefighting-related things, my colleagues at the firm all knew my boyfriend was a firefighter, and they peppered me with questions about how to land a firefighter boyfriend like that. I texted Dominic. A colleague's asking how to get a state-issued firefighter boyfriend. Call 911, 10 minutes tops, and one shows up. There's a wildfire in the mountains. The city's sending 150 people to help. Our squad's dispatched 10. I'm going too, so I'm letting you know. As an officer, when it's this dangerous, I have to be at the front line. Oh, you're already on your way? Almost there. Then why are you only telling me now? I got the notice at noon, but I was afraid you were resting. Report to me sooner next time. Yes, ma'am, understood. When I'm back, I'll let you know. I'll come visit the station then. Okay, a dancing kitten. Oh, right, when the time comes, don't bring anything. We've got everything at the station. Don't go spoiling those kids. I know. One more thing. That fitness account released new medal designs. When I'm back, I'll run them for you. Ha! I'll bring them to the office to make everyone jealous. I'm here now, can't talk anymore. Okay. Love you. Okay. I set the phone face down on the desk. We didn't see each other much even normally, but the second I knew he'd left the city, I still missed him a little. I was afraid he'd end up like Trevor Hollis. I opened a browser to look up news about the mountain wildfire. The report said the fire was likely caused by lightning, had gone on for days, and was in high mountainous terrain, making firefighting extremely difficult. Some rescue workers had already lost contact. I worried for him. I sent him messages and got no reply. Maybe he was too busy to look at his phone. Still no word from him. All I could do was follow the news. The report said one firefighting team had hiked 7 hours through the forest to reach a valley high in the mountains. But on the way, the wind direction suddenly shifted, the fire flared violently, and 3 firefighters went missing in the flames. Aerial footage showed only the valley drowning in a sea of fire, the flames raging, smoke rolling like great waves. The next day, after a search, the bodies of the 3 firefighters were found. Even with their protective gear, the heat had been so extreme that the bodies were largely destroyed. Identification could only be done later by forensics through DNA testing. Someone said that in these huge fires, protective suits serve only as body bags. They help the people collecting remains tell a body from ordinary debris. Fighting forest fires, especially the big ones, always carries enormous danger for firefighters. So, on social media, doubts surfaced about why they'd send people into the mountains to fight the fire at all, whether it wasn't just driving them to their deaths. One person commented that where there are mountain villages and a town at the foot, where forest and homes press right up against each other, failing to put out the fire in time could lead to catastrophe. Another answered, what they're saving isn't the fire. It's the lives and property of the people. Wherever there's a fire, there are firefighters. A few days later, the news said the wildfire had been fully put out. Only a few embers left and little chance of flare-up. I thought that once the fire was out, I'd be able to reach him. I never imagined the person who'd call me would be Gabriel Thorne. He said, "Elsie, squad leader Calloway has come back. Come get him." He came back to the city a hero, an armed police escort leading the way, draped in the flag. Except he'd become impossibly small. Small enough that a single square wooden box could hold him. Small enough that I could easily lift him in my arms. That square, blackened wooden box separated 2 people who loved each other. Inside was death. Outside was life. No, maybe both were already dead. The crowd around me was loud and bustling, but on my side of it, no one saw me, crushed under the dense grief of that wooden box until I couldn't breathe. The only part of his body left intact was one hand, burned black as charcoal. I remembered it clearly. He had long, slender fingers, and his nails were always so neatly trimmed. At his memorial, I watched the last video before he died, footage his comrades had filmed to record the fire scene before they charged in. He had his back to the camera, facing the roaring flames, and shouted, "Brothers, move up and put it out!" In his eyes was a sky full of stars. Faith, the people, no fear at all, only the will to press forward. His mother wept as if her heart would tear apart. People comforted her, saying Dominic Calloway was a hero, a martyr. Only a fool would want to be a hero. Wouldn't a plain, healthy, ordinary life have been better? Dominic Calloway, you foolish, foolish man. As usual, I stayed calm. I worked as usual, stayed busy as usual. I only cried once when I was walking home alone from the supermarket, up that familiar slope. This bag is so heavy, isn't it? All at once I realized the person who used to carry my bags was gone. My arms went numb, my heart went still. The silence spread and spread. Tears rolled down my cheeks, cold, mixed with something bitter and salty, and a grief that clung and wouldn't lift. I remembered asking him once why he'd chosen to be a firefighter. He'd said a man in this world should do the things a man ought to do. That day, I sat on the bench under the streetlight and cried for a long time. The streetlight blurred into two figures, a tall, steady one that pulled me deeper in. I knew I was the living, dreaming. In the dream, there were stars everywhere, all the ones life had given me. And Dominic Calloway was the brightest star of all. I'd only met him in March, and by August, I had to part with him and spend the rest of my life missing him. Thinking it over, it hardly seemed worth it. And then I thought, he said he'd secretly loved me since our school days, which was at least a dozen years. Fine then, I'll be generous. I won't keep score with him. The sports medals earned by running finally reached me 2 days ago. The panda and the koala I'd wanted. On the back, there was space to engrave whatever you liked. His read, Dominic Calloway and Elise Marlowe. April 26th, 2018 is my birthday, and also the day we made our relationship official. Then this fitness event, like it was set on detonating my heart, kept releasing medal after medal in different designs, 30 in all. He'd said he'd run them for me when he got back. He broke that promise, but in the end, I collected them all myself. I split the medals into 3 rows and hung them in the most visible spot in my home. 30 in total. 28 of them were run by another man. I wonder, if he knew, would he be jumping out of his skin? Coming home from the office, I got a package. The sender was Dominic Calloway. I opened it. Inside lay a letter, a wedding dress, and a ring. I rarely take time for myself, but that day I decided to. I went and got my hair cut and washed thoroughly, did my makeup in the style he liked best, and put on that wedding dress. Only after making sure I was flawless did I solemnly, reverently, slide the ring onto my ring finger and open the letter. It read, Elise, I promised not to propose to you before you turn 30. Saying sorry 10,000 times couldn't express how much this weighs on me. Still, it's good I didn't propose on my own. Otherwise, I might have derailed the rest of my 3.5-year-old's life. And that wouldn't be right. Saving people for a firefighter is a job that fills me with fierce joy. Every time I pull someone out of danger, the pride I feel and the gratitude in people's eyes is a priceless source of strength to keep giving myself to this calling. I believe Trevor Hollis wouldn't regret his choice, and neither do I. As your boyfriend, all I can feel is guilt and regret. For you, and for me. Elise, if I get the chance, I still want to go with you. Diving in the sea, watching the sunset over open fields, skiing down snowy mountains, camping by the lake. Yours always, Dominic. At the fire station back home, during the early morning 5-kilometer training run, something rare happened. The firefighters weren't made to hand over their phones. How far today? The commander asked. 5.2 kilometers, the firefighters answered. What's the mission? Running to earn a medal for our sister-in-law. Can you finish it? Yes? Then go. And the firefighters shouted, Come on, brothers, let's win this. Now here's how it looked from Gabriel Thorne's side. Every single day, that woman came looking for me. She'd stretch out her thin, dry, branch-like arms. Save him. Save my child, please. Right in front of me, the woman and the child were crushed into a pulp by a slab of shattered concrete. I clearly did everything I could. Why couldn't I save them? Every night, every day she appeared. Every single day. I said I'm sorry. I asked her why she kept coming to me. She said it was because I was wearing this uniform. So I tore at it, trying to rip the blue turnout gear off my body. Gabriel, have you lost your mind? This is a fire scene. What are you doing taking your clothes off? Somebody pull Gabriel out of here. The commander's furious voice came over the radio. Suddenly, I snapped awake. Everything that had just happened was only a hallucination. A hand settled on my shoulder. Gabriel, are you okay? I shook myself, trying to stay clear-headed, shook my head, and then charged back into the fire scene again. "It's all right," she said. "The blood running down me is guilty blood. Then let me slit open these veins and let the guilt pour out of my body." My soul floated up high, and suddenly an enormous door slammed shut in front of me. Someone with a halo over their head said, "You can't go to heaven. You didn't save those people. You should go to hell." Then the ground beneath my feet split open. Red tongues of fire reached up from the earth, grabbed my ankles, and dragged me down. I struggled to break free, but in the end, I became a wandering soul in the mortal world, a soul weighted down, beyond saving, sinking into a bottomless abyss. How long have you been like this? Almost a month now. Did it start after the fire at the old apartment complex a month ago? Isn't your condition consistent with a PTSD diagnosis? I looked up at the psychologist in front of me and asked, "Can it be cured?" "You have to have faith." I'd broken up with Elise Marlowe, and yet only a month before I'd proposed to her, and she'd said yes. She asked why. I said no reason. She said, "Fine, if we're breaking up, then we're breaking up." She took everything that was hers and left. It didn't matter. My heart was already as hollow as this room anyway. I drew the curtains and lay flat on the bed like a lump of soft mud. I was slowly rotting. I was just afraid I'd waste the brightest years of her life. That woman came again. She said, "My son is right in front of you. Pull him up. Help him." I sat up, dragged out a gas can I'd hidden under the bed long ago, and said, "Let's end this." Ding. The doorbell rang, forcing me to stop pouring the gasoline. "No, not here. I can't do it here. I can't hurt an innocent person." I set the can down and went to open the door. "Hello, you have a package. Sign here, please." I quickly signed, brought the package inside, and realized it was the one thing she had left me, a photo album of our life, designed by her own hand, like a book. Inside were pictures of her, of me, of our ordinary moments together. Under some of the photos, she'd written her favorite lines. Under one of me sound asleep, she'd written, "We're all imperfect, but we're still allowed to dream of something perfect." Under the photo of the day she got her law license, she'd written, "Forever toward justice, clear and transparent." She'd taken a selfie by the streetlight below our building and written, "That was hard. Come give me a hug." On the last page, what she'd written was a line from a writer she loved. "In this jostling life, the only thing I hold as truth is one sentence. Everything passes. Everything will be okay." It took me 2 years to make it through the darkest moment of my life, but she'd already had a new beginning. In the end, I was still the one who came too late, based on a true story. Thank you all for listening.